Yes, the Scottish Government has achieved so much with the limited powers of the devolved settlement, but we have to go further. As the Cabinet Secretary has already said, by 2020 we will have more Scottish children living in poverty because of UK welfare reforms. And this is before the next round of cuts due in 2017-18. It is unacceptable that, due to the decisions of the UK Government, children and families in Scotland are suffering. This is why the Scottish Government's submission to the Smith Commission for more power sets out the need for Scotland to have full responsibility over welfare powers. The Scottish Government Child Poverty Strategy expresses their commitment to focus on the need to tackle the long-term drivers of poverty through early intervention, prevention, partnership and holistic services. Full powers over welfare and social policy will allow us to tackle child poverty and allow Scotland to become the fairer country that we all want it to be. Full responsibility over tax and national insurance will help us create jobs and build a more prosperous Scotland that is necessary to support our ambitions for a fairer society. And during the referendum debate, and I said it again yesterday during the Smith Commission debate, some of the best debates were on the country that we all wanted Scotland to be when we were out in our communities debating at various hustings. We set aside, we disagreed on how we got there, but we actually all more or less wanted the same thing. And as I said during that debate, these types of transformational changes that the Scottish electorate voted for in September, so I would ask colleagues in opposition benches to be serious about the Smith Commission and make sure that they take this into account during the Commission's deliberations, because we must ensure that this Parliament receives the powers that it needs. The Scottish Government has also legislated for access for education. Access to education should always be based on the ability to learn, not the ability of the size of the wallet of the individual family. The Scottish Government removed tuition fees, saving over 120,000 students studying in Scotland up to £27,000 compared with the cost of studying for a degree in England. Research from the Scottish Parliament Information Centre found that since fees rose to £9,000 3 years ago, the cost to students in the rest of the UK £14 billion, and Scottish students studying in Scottish universities saved £1 billion. We also have the situation where various universities are now working towards trying to ensure that they have access from 20%, at least 20% of people from the poorest backgrounds, and I know UWS and Paisley has actually been hit in excess of that figure. And I agree that retention of these individuals is the situation. Yes, Mr McIntosh.
Can I thank Mr Adam, and I welcome some of the steps that the Scottish Government have taken, but could he answer me this: why does Scotland have the lowest percentage of university entrants from the poorest backgrounds and the lowest proportion of entrants from state schools in the whole of the UK?
Well, Mr McIntosh, that's why we have the legislation to ensure that we can actually attain that and make sure that universities move towards getting the figures that we all want. But currently we find that the Office of National Statistics say that Scotland has the best educated population in Europe and among the best in the world. Surely this is an example of things that have actually been working for the Scottish Government with the limited powers. So, closing, Presiding Officer, I would say that the answer to this issue is far more complicated than what the Tories are claiming. The Scottish Government has achieved so much in educational attainment, but there is still much to do. Dealing with poverty, and in particular child poverty, this Parliament needs the powers to make the type of transformational change we all want. The challenge to us all is to ensure that the Smith Commission delivers the type of powers that can make that change. That's the type of change that Scotland voted for in September. Gordon Brown was claiming the proposals put forward by him and some of his colleagues with the vow was federalism. We're going to be within a year or two as close to a federal state as you can in a country where one nation is 85% of the population.
Mr Adam, you have to close now, please.
In closing, Presiding Officer, promises and vows are not enough. This Parliament has to deliver.
I'm afraid there is